to transition now to the next portion, which has to do with service quality, right? Because look, we don't have a lot of time. The time is going to go like that, right? Service quality, and what I explained, you know, that service quality, we think of it as a cake, right? You know, I gave that analogy of eating a cake, and you're having this slice of cake and you're eating the cake in aggregate. But if it doesn't have enough milk or eggs or sugar, you're gonna taste that, right? I don't care what people say, a flourless cake is not a cake. It really isn't. I don't care who's saying, what about gluten-free? I was on gluten-free for 5 years. It's not a cake. It's some kind of version of thing to eat, but it's not a cake, right? So I think it's so important when we think of services and we look at how we're going to break it down, that we recognize both internally and externally, we have to consider, you know, who our audience is, both internally and externally. We have to consider, are we responsive? Are we approachable? Are we empathetic of our customers? And then recognize that services are different, right? So as we produce our service, it's perishable. As we have 5 people doing the same things, but in 5 different ways. I think, you know, one of the things that I always point out to transit professionals is that of all the industries, I think transit professionals use their own industry the least. So what do I mean by that? It's rare that you're not gonna roll up an Apple and everybody has a Samsung, right? But often in transit, a lot of people who work in transit do not take transit, right? And when I ask people about that, they will say, well, we don't take transit because we could never get to work on time if we took transit. And I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. So, you know, a lot of times, and welcome back to everyone. We're having our discussion. We're talking about, Tom was just sharing what his organization and agency does on some of these dimensions and how important it is to be friendly. I think we often don't recognize that, one, each individual really is the face of their organization. And if every time you go out, and it's internally or externally, so you go to IT, you call someone down from IT and they have an attitude with you, what do you say? I can't stand those people in IT. They have attitudes. Or you call into HR and you can't reach them. You're like, I can never reach those people in HR. They don't pick up the phone, right? You always generalize internally and externally. So your customers are doing the exact same thing. And that's why it's so important that we are all